Hi there, and welcome to Grey Muzzle Geekery for the week of June 17, 2019, episode 19. I'm Dusty Red, and with me as always,
Dusty White.
And we'll get into this week's news.
Disney banking on newest expansion with construction on Marvel-themed park expansion.
Congratulations is in order for the sports ball puck round object world, as two franchises have won their first championship in their respective games. The Toronto Raptors of the National Basketball Association, and this one kills my little black heart, loving heart over here, but the St. Louis Blues of the National Hockey Association.
Oh, stop it.
Good job, Blues. No, but congratulations to these teams that on back-to-back nights won a franchise first championship.
Awesome. Congrats.
Sports ball!
Swedish furniture manufacturer IKEA now producing a hex crawl table, retailing at $60. D&D players flocking to purchase large glass-covered map.
Dude, seriously, guys, like, dry erase pen, wet erase pen on the table, they fell into something amazing. I don't know if it's accidental or just genius, but, giant hex table, love it. Cheaper than the mats that are selling, too.
Yeah.
You get those mats for like $80, $90, and you have a full legit, I mean, it's still IKEA, but it's a full legit table for $60.
Right.
Can't beat that. And then finally, E3 has come and gone, leaving some of its fans excited and others with questions of what is to come. And that will lead us right into this week's topic, our little E3 recap on what's going on. So I am biased, obviously, because most of my focus on E3 was Nintendo.
Okay.
And I have a Nintendo Switch, admittedly fairly recently, because I bought a Switch right around Christmas for myself.
I think so, yeah.
Can't remember messaging you. It was right around New Year's, beforehand?
I think it was after New Year's.
After New Year's?
Yeah, January, February.
Because we're getting out early. So I think it was right at New Year's.
Oh, maybe you're right.
I think it was a day or two before New Year's, because I was not sure, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to spend the money.
You hemmed and hawed about it for several weeks.
Yeah, I was like, okay, well, I don't want to spend the money because I really don't need a console. I'm fine, but I really want to play Breath of the Wild. Like, I was just jonesing for Breath of the Wild because I like Zelda. I like Zelda games. I've always liked Zelda games, and didn't want to really drop money bags on like a PS4 or an Xbox or anything else. Like, I had an Xbox 360 and just didn't find myself really digging like that kind of gamer, I guess.
Okay.
Not I'm stereotyping or anything, but there's a different level of gamer with that. I'm a PC gamer.
Your elitism is showing.
No, I'm a PC gamer. Like, we could say PC master race, but even then, like, I haven't needed to upgrade my PC because I was started on, well, when I built my PC, I did it specifically for Elder Scrolls Online.
Okay.
Which turned into a sort of a flop, kind of a late bloomer, ugly duckling.
Bethesda again? Or
Bethesda?
Bethesda?
Sure, So yeah, but it was Elder Scrolls Online, and I made a PC specifically for it. So you know what? My gaming rig now is 6 years old-ish. So,
but you're finding it's still running top-of-the-line stuff still, right?
Ish.
Okay.
But I don't play top-of-the-line games, and that's where the line is. My games are, again, mess around on Second Life, which I found out recently. There's a couple of our listeners that were on Second Life as well.
Fantastic.
One of them actually married their husband on Second Life, from Second Life. So yeah, I mean, apparently it's a bigger, like, they kind of nudged me on the side in Discord, just like, psst, I play too. I'm like, yeah. But I do like Second Life and stuff like that, but a lot of the games I find myself playing from Steam primarily are stuff that you kind of mentioned in our notes, our pre-show notes of, I have Braid, I have Bastion. I have a lot of games. If I lean over and even minimalize this, what I got on here, Armello, Diablo 3, did a little bit of Apex Legends. I was able to run that pretty well. But so I don't play a lot of games. I don't play a lot of games that are very graphically
heavy
intense and all these other stuff. I like side scrollers. I like platformers. The big one, Hollow Knight. I didn't need a top-of-the-line gaming rig for Hollow Knight. So after a while, I was like, okay, well, I want a console, but I don't want to get I'm not too interested in getting a crazy huge console, so I got a Nintendo Switch. And from all of my research, I heard that it's not that number one gaming console.
No,
But
Nintendo hasn't been the number one gaming console in probably a while.
But it is the best number two that you could get. So if you're a PC gamer and you have a Switch for a secondary, it's amazing. If you have an Xbox and you have a Switch for a secondary, it's like the perfect number two gaming
complementary gaming.
If you come home from work, you want to sit down and play a game, like, roll the Xbox or the PlayStation. But if you got people coming over, or you want something light or fun or portable, Nintendo has that in spades.
Right.
So it's just one of those things of, okay, fine, I'll get me a Nintendo Switch. Played the crap. I'm up to 90 hours in Breath of the Wild, by the way.
You still haven't finished.
I'm working on it. Kid, It's a Hyrule just came out. But anyway, so my focus obviously was watching a lot of the press releases. That said, you and I got to sit and see some of the other notes for Xbox and PlayStation and PC.
Mostly PC. Honestly, Xbox and PC seem to have come out with the most options, or at least the alternative third-party games or the independent games, I guess I should say.
PlayStation seems to have gone quiet a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, they had a couple releases that seem decent, but for the most part...
Well, before we start on that, do you have any, like, comments or concerns or thoughts about Scarlett? Operation or Project Scarlett?
I mean, and you and I both kind of watched some of the stuff. It's a lot of buzzwords, and a lot of jargon, and even...
Nothing really, like... A bunch of grand ideas. We'll see how they apply them, like solid state and things like that.
Well, I have a solid state drive in my computer right now.
Right, but
it's funny when they're like, well, when SSDs and solid state drives, like, that's what they are, dummy. Like, that's what their press guy came out and said of SSDs and solid state. Like, so you got solid state drives and solid state drives. Good job, Microsoft. But... And I've done those I've done those kind of interviews at work, and you do end up repeating yourself. I mean, we do a podcast, we repeat ourselves constantly.
Right.
How often have I said and you know. So Project Scarlett, I mean, it's buzzwords, it's jargon, it's ideas that could be interesting when they integrate PC and, there it is, when they integrate PC games and the Xbox Scarlett itself and everything else, be really interesting to see. Obviously, PlayStation is pushing on its PS5, which they're just at least sticking true to PlayStation 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Where Xbox is like, Xbox 360,
Xbox One.
You're going to do Xbox 2? Like...
Well, I'm just wondering...
Xbox One.
Here's my, and it's kind of tangenting, but still involved.
This episode is going to be a tangent on video games, so go.
Do you see us having anything like the equivalent of jumps in technology of, like ColecoVision or Atari?
Coleco's a kitty. ColecoVision.
Coleco, sorry. That type of jump in technology anymore, because PlayStation 4 to PlayStation 5, there's, like, I think we've talked about it before, there's not a lot of jump in technology. Like, the graphics are getting greater, and
there's still a point you're limited on graphics anyway. There's going to be a point where you hit that high, like, there's going to be that uncanny valley that's always going to be difficult to get past.
Okay,
but we're still seeing movies and stuff that are fully, I mean, again, Star Wars redid or basically reconstructed General Tarkin, and like that actor was dead for a long time, but he looked great. Like, you could not tell. There's some parts in his movement that seemed a little jerky or, again, uncanny valley,
unnatural.
But for the most part, we're running into a situation where games are going to, realistically, a lot of the games are going to be processed and rendered faster. That's going to be the big thing. It's now it seems like they've hit a great mark for performance, or for visuals. Now it's just increasing the performance.
And that's kind of what Scarlett was talking about, or that press release for Scarlett was talking about it. It's like nobody likes loading screens. So if they come out with all these great innovations for the newer consoles, we're going to see less of that in theory.
It depends. I mean, again, we're looking at what are they going to do? What are they working with? And in a weird way, some of the games that came out for this E3, and a good example of it for Nintendo Switch, is they're going backwards. Like, they're going backwards in terms of visuals. and not focusing on the hyper-realistic. Like, we have Cyberpunk 2077,
right,
which is obviously everybody's favorite Keanu Reeves, who has once again hit the limelight. If that's the one thing I've learned from E3 this year, was Keanu Reeves is back in full force. Between John Wick and doing voice for Toy Story 4.
Right.
Him being the cyborg-ish thing from Cyberpunk 2077, like,
it's interesting to see, and I, of course, I have already seen the memes going around of Keanu Reeves has just been, aged in video games from Bill and Ted to The Matrix to now this
he's been
rendered hyper realistic Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah. But that said, how many games have we seen that have that kind of visual? You have one or two games that are focusing on that. One of them was the
I'd like to see them be actual gameplay with that rendered and not just cutscenes.
Oh, for sure. And you'll get some of that. I mean, and I guess that's where the advancements in the technology will go. We'll be being able to render that kind of quality at a faster rate. That being said, some of the games that caught our attention, for me, is Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening.
Right.
Like, they went backwards in terms of graphics. They
went chibi.
Hyper cartoony and chibi and whatnot. And gamers are clamoring for that. They want that. I mean, how much of it is nostalgia?
Right.
Something we like to talk about here is that nostalgia factor. That game that is very rounded and cute and playful. And it has its story reasons. I don't want to give any game spoilers because... Have you ever played Link's Awakening?
Not... I'm sure I've seen playthroughs, but
You'd
not
surprised,
personally.
maybe not. The game's 25 years old.
My brother's 40, so
I'm
sure.
He had it on it wasn't on a PC or anything, or on a Nintendo. It was on a Game Boy.
Then yes,
Okay,
I may not have ever played it. Yes, I have played it actually.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Every once in a while I would steal my brother's games. I would have no concept of what I was playing really, but I would at least steal them.
Huh. I could say that I've played minutes at most of Link's Awakening, but never got to sit and play the full thing through because I just didn't really have a Game Boy. Like, I didn't have a Game Boy. I think got Game Gear for a little bit for Sega's little attempt at things, but no, I didn't have a Game Boy. I think my first Game Boy was...
I would get bored with DuckTales and Paperboy 2, and I would steal my brother's games. How
dare you get bored of Paperboy? How dare you? Game is hard as hell.
Truth.
So, looking at some of those kind of graphical, like, what's the other one that we're just talking about with the fairy game across?
Oh, Spiritfarer?
Spiritfarer. It's another game that is hand-drawn art style.
2D, hand-painted, very much in the vein of, like, Braid and, what was it, Limbo? And Hollow Knight. It's just it looked artistically very pretty.
And so that's the thing that you wonder is we're kind of touching on in terms of games with high fidelity graphics and that crazy visual. They're going to be, obviously your AAA titles are going to be crazy and whatnot. And I'm looking forward to like Gears of War 4 coming out and all these other games that are going to take that hyper realistic and really graphically intense.
Right.
But then, how much are they going to outpace and outsell games that are a little bit more indie, a little bit more budget-friendly in some ways, but also are more of a focus on art? Don't get me wrong, doing 3D modeling of a person to make a bunch of, polygons and whatnot look exactly like Keanu Reeves
right.
is art.
Yes.
It's skill, it's art, it's tech, but there's a lot of art involved. But a different kind of art with games like Hollow Knight and even with Legends of Zelda Link's Awakening. There's a different style of art and a different, just stylistically speaking, is what we're looking for.
Right. I do find myself gravitating to more of those games. The independent gaming community has gotten so big and just have come out with so many good games like Ventures of Meat Boy. We kind of wrote down some Hollow Knight, Doki Doki Universe, Limbo, Braid. I'm trying to think of some other ones that I've played.
What was on some of our list that we got a list, and I'll say to our listeners, we do have a list of all the, like, a good chunk of the games that came out and were announced. Not so much came out, but were announced for at E3. So let's look at some of that indie list real quick. And kind of go over that.
So the indie list looked like a lot of interesting type of gameplay. Ori and the Will of the Wisps.
Yeah, that one's the one that looked a lot like
Hollow Knight,
where you're a glowy entity in a dark world, more or less. A will-o-wisp, obviously. And have the movement, and you're running from stuff, and it's showing, like, the Metroidvania is the term that got thrown around a bit.
Yeah, and I didn't realize that that's, like, the type of... I love those games. Like, that's the side-scroller games that I like.
And a lot of those will...
I didn't realize that was the term.
Yeah, and I guess for our listeners or younger players, like, the term Metroidvania comes from Metroid and Castlevania, which is a lot of... Metroid and Castlevania had the concepts of it's more or less platformer, while getting variety of power-ups that allow you to advance. The thing about Metroid was a lot of secrets in hidden areas and going back and forth and traversing. That was one of the big, and some people complained about it, but there's a big appeal to it, is you'd go into a zone and they would tease you with an item that was out of reach, or oh, you got the cough this time now. But they tease you with an item that was out of reach, or they showed you abilities and things that led to, like, a door that you couldn't get through, or something else. They more or less said, "Hey,
you'll come back here later."
Yeah, I'll see you in a few hours.
Right.
Like, you're not done here. And so you go through the rest of the game, get your power up, get whatever, go back to the other room to find another power up that takes you back to another room. Like, that was a lot of the concept, the back and forth backtracking, finding secrets and hidden power-ups along the way, and all that stuff. So that's what seems like a lot of those genres. And I do like, again, Hollow Knight is another Metroidvania game where you get power-ups and super jumps and all these other things that allow you to reach these areas you could not reach before.
So let's talk independent games that were more open world. Conan Chop-Chop.
So Conan Chop-Chop was like a April Fool's joke in 2015, I think it was.
Okay.
And then it got continued to be developed, and it looks like the characters themselves look right out of Cyanide and Happiness.
Yeah.
They probably might
Conan with stick figures and swinging a big battle axe.
But even like the facial expressions look like Cyanide and Happiness. So it's one of those things of could be fun. It kind of reminds me of Castle Crashers a little bit.
Okay.
Where it's, multiplayer, 4 players and up. You're running around and doing things and being silly, and a level of ridiculousness that's just over the top and could be a lot of fun.
Speaking of ridiculousness, how about Battletoads? 3-player co-op?
Yeah, Battletoads is always insanely difficult to begin with. So to see them again go over the top with Battletoads and I'm pretty excited about it. I'll see if I end up getting it. It's one of those things of I don't see myself playing Battletoads by myself. I think part of the joy of Battletoads is seeing you and your friends getting frustrated with the difficulty.
Right.
Because misery loves company.
Absolutely. So misery for two other people.
So we're going to have to do a stream or something, right? We're going to have to record you and I playing Battletoads, getting our butts kicked.
Right.
If it comes out for the Switch, assuming.
I don't know. Maybe. And here's something that I heard from, covering our E3 and watching some of this, was shadow play. Shadow play was mentioned for Felix the Reaper and El Hero? That one's the spaghetti western one. Yeah.
So shadow play is a lot of stealth type games.
Okay.
Where you're using light to hide your character, because that's one thing that's very difficult to do in a video game, and there's a sense of how is my character not seen just because he's standing in a shadow. Like, there's that, not so much immersion break, but I really want to use the oldest freaking example in the book of how did nobody see Snake in a box when it's a dude walking around in a box, like, I'm in a box, you can't see me. Oh. But a lot of like shadow play type games are stealth type missions that allow you to, like, a guard is pacing up and down a hall and there's like a little cone of vision.
Right.
Yet at the end of that cone, his vision stops.
As soon as but it's the timing and things like that of going and waiting till that vision moves.
Even realistically, the guard should see you. His vision just doesn't stop at the end of the cone. He doesn't have cataracts. Like, I would be the most angry villain ever, where I'm just like, all right, so I've got Steve, my front gate guard, can only see in a 40% radius out to 20 feet. You're fired.
Find a new job, Steve.
Find a new job. Please go be a go be a children's school bus driver.
So
my love of children speaking out once again.
So of another couple of interesting ones that I found fun were Supermarket Shriek.
Yeah.
Which was a shopping cart
it looks
racing
like
game.
It looks right out of like Goat Simulator or whatever, where it's dude and a goat
racing around in a shopping cart
in a Marble Madness style.
That's a good. Yeah, I wouldn't even have correlated that
with
like Marble Madness.
It's a Marble Madness style grocery store trying to collect things and get to an end or something. It's one of those things that, like, I'll wait for the sale.
If one of those episodes or one of those levels is not called Supermarket Sweep, they're doing something wrong.
Supermarket Shriek. Well, you don't want to use Supermarket Sweep because it's a
trademark probably.
Name. That's why it's Supermarket Shriek.
Fair. And the other one was Creature in the Well, which was described as, quote, unquote, pinball brawler.
That one looked weird.
Right?
It was very pretty. Because it had that, like, cyber, I don't know, how did you want to look at it? It was a lot of lights. It was a lot of neon lights.
Yeah.
And, like, the ball was coming towards you, and you're moving your guy like a flipper, but he wasn't a flipper. Like, he was a dude that you can move up and around through the map.
But you're dealing and interacting and using a pinball and pinball, like, bumpers.
It's a pinball mechanic, but you're just, the flipper, I guess, is able to move around and smack these balls around to unlock these puzzles, which oddly reminds me of Sonic Spinball back in the day for Sega Genesis, where you played as Sonic the Hedgehog, who, for whatever reason, to foil Dr. Robotnik's plan, had to crawl inside of a tube and get sprung out through a map that was a pinball map.
Okay.
And it was one of the hardest games I played because...
See, and I was going to throw in 3D Space as my pinball nostalgia from, Windows 98 free pinball. Yeah. So those were some of the more unique ones for the independent play that I saw. Fall Guys looked fun as a possible, like, if we were at a convention, 100 people could play.
Oh, and that was the one levels. Fall Guys was the one that looks like a game show.
Yeah.
Where
game show type obstacles and stuff.
And you look like little, I want to say Pikmin or...
Teletubbies.
Not even Teletubbies. It's like if Teletubbies and Minions, like, got together.
Okay.
But you're basically playing a bunch of little Minion type dudes, and you're running through races and everything else, and it seems like an attempt to be like, hey, you and 100 or 99 other people are trying to whittle each other out to be the ultimate winner. Right now, the game similar to that would be Tetris 99 that I've been playing a little bit. It's a game of Tetris against 98 other people, and as you Tetris, as you do stuff, like your board gets messed with by other people, and you just slowly whittle other players out. And the last one standing wins and you get points and you get ranking. That's all. Nothing crazy, but it's just one of those. It's a cool concept of, again, increase in technology and bandwidth and internet and stuff, that you could have 100 people on a server or on a space to play the game at the same time and whittle players out.
How have we not played Last Standing Oregon Trail?
Continue. Your thought intrigues me, but
I'm just saying, you could take a theory like that and do Tetris 99 and have 100 players play Oregon Trail and see who survives the last. I mean, it's essentially Rust, but...
I mean, don't ford the river. That's all you have to do. Like, never talk to a wagon and ford the river.
76 people immediately die with dysentery.
All right, don't dysentery.
So you also saw Psychonauts 2.
That one's a crowdsourced one that a lot of people have been waiting for.
Did you play it?
I played bits of Psychonauts and never got that's one of my regrets of not being able to, like, I never had the chance to sit and play the whole thing.
Okay.
If anything, I think I played it on the Sega channel. Yeah, pretty sure it was the Sega channel I played it on when it came out, and didn't... Was it for Sega? I don't know if it was Sega channel, though. I'm just going to say no. I don't remember now. I'm going to say no and have to do my memory research later. But
Okay.
but I know it was a highly, like...
Requested,
wanted, appreciated, like, acknowledged game for being an indie game and being more or less ahead of its time.
So let's kind of backtrack a little bit and go towards more of our main story game, or I guess I shouldn't say story, but your developer, your main developer, your AAA games, because those were obviously big on being released and talked about. So obviously Animal Crossing is delayed.
Yeah, they announced, unfortunately, that Animal Crossing was supposed to be released in 2019, at the end of 2019, is going to be delayed into early 2020. And the reasoning for this is a quote that... Go ahead.
Shigeru Miyamoto said, "A delayed game is eventually good, but a rushed game is forever bad."
And so they acknowledge the fact that the game is not ready, and with something as high profile as Animal Crossing,
right,
with all the multiplayer and everything else, that people are going to, like, that is a game that very well may cause people to go out and buy a Switch. It's one of those game changer games. It's much like Breath of the Wild for me. Like, here is a game that
everybody's waiting for
and will buy the console specifically for that game.
Right.
For me, it was Breath of the Wild and Smash Brothers. So I could see Animal Crossing getting, especially since Nintendo is going to be releasing 2 other versions of the Switch, which is going to be a slightly more powerful one and then a less powerful and smaller one for more portable style gaming. I can see them either packaging or really pushing for... I could see them really pushing for releasing that game with those consoles and causing people to buy those consoles because of that specific game.
Okay.
So that's one of those things that'll be important to Nintendo to ensure that they do the game properly, that they make sure people are happy with it. Because in the flip side of it is it finds out they get negative reviews and everything else, and people go, you know what, I don't want this console, or you know what, never mind, I'll wait, or I'll just play mobile or something else. So it's a big, huge step for Nintendo.
So, and then you've got Pokemon Sword and Shield.
Sword Doggo versus Shield Doggo?
Yeah. Luigi's Mansion, which will be playable for up to 8 people.
Yeah, 8 players in Luigi Mansion 3.
And Goo Luigi.
Goo Luigi. It's a weird concept that they're adding, and apparently some of the questions have been asked, and apparently you can eat Goo Luigi. I don't know if it's real, if you can or not, but I guess somebody from Nintendo was like, oh, he's edible. I'm like, you're weird. So...
And then, of course, we already talked about Link's Awakening. Hyper Toony.
Oh, I'm excited for Link's Awakening. One of the things I saw for Link's Awakening as well is a feature that'll allow you to build your own dungeon.
Okay.
Because they did a good job.
Do you think they do that for kind of like how Mario Maker became so popular?
Well, Mario Maker 2 is coming out real soon, too.
Okay.
It's coming out in August, I think. Yes and no. I think... You have to remember that Link's Awakening came out for Game Boy, so it was limited to what it could do. It's in terms of processing power. I mean, the difference. That said, I'm wondering if the Game Boy weighs more than the Switch. Now I think about it, like going back. when
Mentally in my brain as a child, absolutely.
Well, the thing was a effing brick when you were a kid. So,
yes.
But, yeah, so if you think about it, though, like... It's on a different processing power, different limitations and specs and storage in terms of memory, how far more pixelated and whatnot. So I can see Link. So anyway, what Link's Awakening is doing is you'll be able to collect like map pieces throughout the game. Then you'll be able to build your own dungeon and run through the dungeon to gain more items and to do things. So you get to kind of play your own game while you're making your own game. I'm very curious if they're going to have, and I think as you mentioned, like Link, like Mario Maker, where you're able to build a dungeon and send it to your friends, give them a code or anything else. I haven't seen anything about that. It'd be awesome if you could. If you just get a message from a friend like, hey, I made this dungeon. And they're not going to be terribly difficult, but they're still going to be tough. Like, I could see some end boss type dungeons, and you put a mini boss here and a mini boss here, or maybe you just do a straight out boss run dungeon. Every room is a boss from a previous level or something like that.
That'd be fun.
You can see people doing time trials on that, like going through these bosses in order and stuff like that.
Right.
So it could be fun. It's something that just to extend the life of a game.
Final Fantasy VII Remake slated for March 3rd, 2020.
Yeah, that's Final Fantasy VII was one of the reasons I got a PlayStation. I want to talk about games that cause system sales. I did not have a PlayStation until Final Fantasy VII came out and went, I want that. Because I played the crap out of Final Fantasy 6/3, depending where you are in the world. And 3 in America, 6 in Japan. But I got a Super Nintendo. I got a Super Nintendo as a gift, specifically for Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. And then dove down the rabbit hole of Square Enix games. From, obviously, Final Fantasy to 7th Saga to Secret of Mana and Secret of Evermore. So Evo was a game as well by Square Enix. So
okay.
There's a lot of games that I've played for that system. That was like, this is why I got the systems for this. So needless to say, when they're like, oh hey, Square Enix is doing Final Fantasy VII, but it's only for PlayStation.
Right.
That Christmas, I went, can I have PlayStation? And got a PlayStation and got Final Fantasy VII. So again, it's one of those systems that it's a 20-year-old game. So there's a whole generation of people who
want to see
experience it for the first time.
Experience it or kind of re-experience it and be happier or more blown away by the graphics.
For sure. And again, it's one of those things of, it's a 20-year gap. That is a legit, like, you could have a kid,
right,
and they will be 20 and like be playing this for the first time where you're like, no, I remember when it first came out. So it's far enough to be a almost new experience for both the veteran player or the old player. Like
right.
For me, like for me to go back and play Final Fantasy, like, will be a new experience because it's been 20 years since or almost 20 years since I played that game.
Right.
Actually, more than 20 years, I think about it. So it'll be a new experience for me. I'll be excited to be like, holy crap, I remember this. And maybe I'll catch story elements that I didn't before or something else. So, yeah, it's going to gravitate towards people like me. But assuming I had a kid, which I don't, but assuming I had a kid, the kid would be anywhere from ballpark 10 to 15. Oh,
right.
Apparently our special guest is in the studio today and is making his presence known. We have Rocket.
Hey, leave it.
Who is very excitable at the fact that he is not in a house and is rather in an apartment with me and is now startled by every door that closes in the building and the kids playing outside and everything else.
So...
No, we're talking about Rocket now. Continue our Rocket. Don't change the subject.
Speaking of Rocket, one of their quips was a Rocket Power, because that's the racing game, right? Rocket League. Rocket
League is the card game, and they have a was it roller derby game?
Yeah, roller champions. That was it. So it's roller derby, but it's almost so it's slated as being the roller or Rocket League kind of type game.
What's interesting about it too is not only is it a roller derby, but it seems like there's a ball that's passed around and it's thrown into a sideways like hoop, or net or something. So points to be gathered that way, I assume too. I'm assuming the customization of your character and skates and colors and everything else.
Right.
I'm sure power-ups and other crazy things. Because, like, there's obviously a supernatural / this is no way in real, like Rocket League cars are flying around.
Watching that playthrough or watching some of the trailer of that game specifically gave me throwbacks of Alita, the battle angel or the battle robot movie, because that was a big part of that movie was, or I guess I should, over the top roller derby. Maybe that's the inspiration for it. They possibly
just took that concept and went, all right, we're gonna make a game out of this. And I didn't think about that. I never saw that movie, so I could see
it was interesting. So then you have Pistol Whip, which was the VR game.
Yeah, VR game.
That is supposed to be, they took inspiration from John Wick, the first one.
Well, then the guy was even saying that in the press release, they said the name John Wick like 40 times to emphasize the point of like, be John Wick, look like John Wick, which again goes back to our point of Keanu Reeves immortalized. Like, it's, you just Keanu Reeves. But yeah, so...
It's a rhythm-based VR shooting game for the best explanation that I saw.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like you get to be in a high speed, high pace rhythm, so you got that constant drive that's going with it. As you're shooting, it's a high speed, precise shooter game that requires reflexes as well. You're dodging bullets, you're shooting at people and going through. So again, you get to be John Wick minus the dead animals.
Fair. So then let's kind of broaden this or lump some of these games all together. You had God and Monsters. You had Elden Ring.
Okay, Elden Ring. I'm going to put a pin there and say that's a separate topic we're going to expand on in a minute.
Okay, but so I want to bring them. I want to bring them all in together because they're high fantasy.
Yes.
So you have God and Monsters,
Elden Ring,
Baldur's Gate,
Baldur's Gate 3.
Baldur's Gate's 3. And I think No More Heroes.
Well, No More Heroes isn't fantasy, but it's sci-fi-ish.
Okay.
But yeah, but No More Heroes is also No More Heroes 3 is another release that they have announced. Yes.
What thoughts and comments?
No More Heroes is primarily Nintendo. It's got a very interesting fan base for it, which reminds me a lot of the Persona games.
Okay.
Where there's a very specific, it appeals to a specific type of gamer, and they make enough money off of that type of gamer so that it'll sustain itself for the most part. Like, I've not played any of those games. I heard they're fun, but they just don't seem my style.
Okay.
That said, it's still a money-making title. It's a money-making game. It's a wild kind of a over-the-top game that people enjoy. People enjoy the over-the-top and the power fantasy, so to speak, of running around and doing crazy things. Baldur's Gate will be PC, if I'm not mistaken, only PC until they pull like a Diablo 3 where it's only PC, and then 2 years later they eventually release it for a console. Yeah. But even then, we talked a little bit on Baldur's Gate. It's there's still not a lot said about it. Nobody knows when it's released. It is made by the guys who did Divinity, or Divinity 2, which is a really solid game in of itself. So you couple that style of game with the 5th edition D&D rules, and you're going to have another, not so much over the top, but high fantasy, high magic game of wrecking illithid faces and going through the story.
Watching that illithid transformation is graphically just stunning.
Well, graphically it's insane. It's disturbing, which is perfect. And it goes back into the whole werewolf transformations and everything else. We go for a LARP for a second is like, it's supposed to hurt.
It's a reminder that it's not
a boon.
Good
it's a
thing.
Curse. It's a curse. No, yeah, but it looks really cool. They do a great job emphasizing the fact of this is nasty. This is bad. And even with the lightning in the background, you see dozens of them in the shadow back there. Like, is very ominous and foreboding of, hey, shit hits fan. Like, good luck as a level 1, level 2 D&D character dealing with this.
Getting through it.
So it'll be, I'm very curious to see. Obviously, there hasn't been anything in terms of gameplay. There hasn't been anything in terms of details and story and the game itself. But I am willing to put my money toward the fact that probably won't be released. I'm willing to bet holiday 2020
For Baldur's Gate?
For Baldur's Gate 3.
Okay.
I'm going to say it won't be, obviously, anytime this year. And it won't be early next year either. It'll be later in 2020, which still is weird to say that 2020 is like, what, 6 months away?
Yep.
That's the future. Like, 2020 is the future, not... Yeah.
So, thoughts about Elden Ring.
Okay. Where do we want to go with this? Because I think this is probably one of the biggest announcements for this. Well, at least in terms of my interest, one of the biggest announcements for something that's not Nintendo related, basically.
Okay.
Because Nintendo obviously has its own in-house. That's one thing Nintendo's really good at. Nintendo knows how to market itself.
Right.
There's some third-party stuff out there, but Nintendo goes, hey, look at our cast of characters. We have Mario. We have Luigi. We have Zelda.
They could essentially host their own E3 by themselves.
Pretty much. And and all of their games are also in-house. They're Nintendo property.
Right.
They happily say, we have 2 Zelda games coming out, and people know Zelda, and it's owned by Nintendo, and people are going to just throw money at Nintendo to get more Zelda. I am very much guilty of this. Like, I will be throwing paychecks at Nintendo just so I could be a little blonde-haired, blue-eyed boy again.
Okay.
Like, or, more importantly...
Short-haired
Zelda. Oh, I'm actually excited. Chick's cute. I'm not gonna lie.
So to reel back in this tangent.
Hey! Zelda's cute. Leave me alone. All right. So we have Elden Ring, which is run by, was it Miyazaki?
Yeah.
Who did which is FromSoft, which is known for all of their Dark Souls, and then you have George R.R. Martin, who was known for killing everybody off in all his books. Which is almost a match made in heaven. Like, okay, so we're going to have a world where everybody loses and dies. And George R. R. Martin's like, hold my beer.
So, from watching some of the previews, or at least the trailer that has been released, it does look... It seems like they've taken Dark Souls and combined it with one of the premier world-building, mythos-writing authors of our time.
Sure.
And have created a game. We have no idea what the world is going to be like.
But it seems like they're touching on a lot of
Celtic and Norse mythology.
Some of it being the blacksmith and... watching Vadi Vidya on YouTube showed some of the correlations of, like, the one character's got the wings on her helmet, much like the Valkyrie. So it would make sense to see a lot of those Celtic and
story elements
and Norse influences to really push the story along, which also seems fitting to Martin's style of storytelling as well. Of these kind of dragons like this, and obviously dragons, spoiler, but much on that mythos of the European style world building. There. You're not going to see like Asian influences or African influences or any of these kind of world style influences, but it's going to be North, and if anything, it's going to be much colder North and Norse North and that kind of vibe.
Right.
So. I'd be excited for that. Like, it seems pretty neat.
It looked gorgeous.
It looks good. It looks like it's going to be, again, in the Dark Souls theme of it's going to be a tough game. It's not going to have an easy mode, which was a big controversy with Sekiro.
Okay.
I don't know how to pronounce it. I am very, very white, and I will freely admit that I am not good at foreign pronunciations. But... that game went under fire for it being popular, but not being easy. And I guess that was a conversation we could have as well. If we put a pin there and go, should games like this be easy? Should there be an easy mode to say, hey, we're going to make it more accessible? Or do you make it hard and you leave it hard and you say, get good? Like, you want to play this game, you want to learn the story, get good. And to a degree, I don't want to say learn the story because YouTube it.
Right. You can watch somebody do a playthrough
you can
nowadays.
Watch a playthrough, and not only just watch a playthrough, but again, using Vadi over here, he will go through the game himself and put together a video for you to watch and to understand characters, understand stories, understand little hints, and pick out details that even the casual gamer might have missed. You know, you didn't see the writing on the wall behind the cave there because you're too busy getting stabbed by 4 zombies, but he'll stop and show him, like, oh no, read the writing here. It says that the chosen will come when the sun is at its zenith or something, which could, you know, give storytelling elements. Praise the sun. So, so do you think there should be an easy mode on stuff like this? On a game like this that's going to be coming out. So you have Elden Ring. It's got this big hype. It's going to come out for, I assume,
PC.
PlayStation. Yeah, PC, PlayStation, and Xbox. It won't probably come out for something, a Switch or something. I don't see the Nintendo Switch having enough power behind the console to run a kind of game like that. Do you see it? Or do you think that with such a big announcement and such a big game that they should have an easy mode? Or do you think that they should be like, get good, get better? Like,
I think they come out with the predetermined reputation of, no, it's going to be hard. And we're not going to make a easy version. Because if they do come out and come out with an easy version, then they kind of wreck that reputation for themselves moving forward. I think that's one of those things of stick with the reputation, be the outlier in a lot of these games as a manufacturer, as a video game manufacturer, as being, no, we play to our elite. We make the game elite for these reasons.
And does that promote better gamers, or does it cause more of an insular group to say, okay, like, we're going to have this big, beautiful game. And that's FromSoft's known for that. FromSoft's also known for making a big, beautiful game and throwing parts in there where even the people who buy the game and play it, less than 10, maybe even less than 5% of its players will even find this secret out or find this zone or find this moment.
But those players invested the same amount of they invested the same amount of money in it, but they can say, no, I beat it, I found it, I beat this part of the level, whatever it may be. I know there's games out there that people have played that are like, no, I actually did complete it.
Yep.
Like,
and completed multiple endings for it too.
And they've got that badge of honor. Like, you talk about virtual trophies and things like that. How would you feel being a PS4 player or an Xbox player and getting to see that as your gamer tag of defeated this game? That carries some clout. Yeah, that's got bragging rights.
No, that's fair. I mean,
hashtag humble brag. I don't know.
No, I can see, and I agree to a degree as well. Like, I don't think there should be an easy mode on games. At the same time, you do have to just be careful as a developer or as a title or as a producer or anything else to go by not, I don't say simplifying, but by promoting a specific game. You are really banking on those fans,
right,
to carry your label, because you're going to turn away other people who would throw money at the game. Oh, this looks really cool. This looks like a lot of fun.
Why would I play it if I'm going to sit there and get defeated every time?
I'm not going to play. So you lose business that way too. So it's a very delicate line. And obviously FromSoft is still successful. Like, they're doing a great job. Their fans are ravenous fans. And that's good. It keeps them in business and it keeps them going. It just, you start to look at, are gamers going to soften up, and are they going to want, easier games like Link's Awakening? You were looking at
Mario Paint.
Mario Paint was so good. You put a mouse on a Super Nintendo. What genius that? No, but I mean, yeah, I'm obviously a big fan of hard games. I am a big fan of get good. Like, I am definitely a proponent of, hey, sorry you suck, but play harder. At the same time, not everybody can just get good. Not everybody has that time to devote to every, League of Legends is a good example. Like, how many people sit there and play? And I stopped playing League of Legends when it started getting overly competitive. I played a lot when it came out. Then it came out to be tournament level. And then a lot of kids came in to play it like a job.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about esports at that point.
Right. And so now for a casual player, the difficulties climb became greater and greater because I did not have the time to memorize everybody's moves, everybody's counter moves, everybody's abilities. So now I'm finding myself deeper and deeper in a hole to the point of, now I'm never winning. And worse off, I'm feeling like a detriment to my team. So I just stopped playing. I'm like, I am causing these teams to lose because I am not that good, and the matchmaking or whatever else wasn't able to put me in a position where I felt like I was in like being challenged or was being useful. I just eventually quit. I stopped playing. So yeah.
So let's end on a interesting note. Lego Star Wars.
Nah, you waited for that one. You had that one buried in the back of the notes.
Lego Star Wars. It's been slated to be released with all 9 films being part of it.
Which obviously means it's going to be after the Rise of the Skywalker is already released.
Correct.
Which probably means they're going to release it right when that movie
either is starting its tail end of being done or
right before DVD or whatever.
Right.
I could see that. It's like, oh, DVD release, boom, here's Lego Star Wars. Because in fairness, they already have a lot of the stuff played out. Like the script is already written.
Right.
It's not hard to do Lego Star Wars. There already was Lego Star Wars out, so you're able to just grab those elements. And there she is. And so, yeah, all they have to do is just kind of update everything, make it work for whatever consoles are playing on, and release all 9 games. Personally, $60 for all 9 Star Wars from 1 all the way through 9 would be worth it. Lego Star Wars is a fun, silly system.
It's stupid silly. I never understood the Lego games. I have several friends that love it because it's just collect them all.
Yeah.
It's very simple. It's very, it plays to a lot of age groups, a lot of playability. It just not my thing. But I like the hokiness of it. Don't care for the movies. Just I just don't.
Oh, there goes our listener count.
I just, I don't get a lot of the humor. I'm not a lowbrow humor kind of person. So.
Oh, are you calling me short?
Is this a short joke?
This is a short joke. I like lowbrow humor. I like poopy potty jokes. And I like, as long as you realize that they're poopy potty jokes. Like, I like a variety of humor. I'm not just going to sit there and focus on poopy potty jokes. But yeah, I do like the Lego style of humor that is very tongue-in-cheek. That is, because they do that with other games too, with Indiana Jones and everything else. They take these iconic titles, they take these iconic movies and games and concepts that are just classics.
Right.
They're classics. Tropes. Well, they're not even tropes though, but they're straight up classics. There's a difference between a trope and a classic. We can get into that debate next week maybe. But they do turn those classics into a joke, into a trope, into a, you know, when Darth Maul, one of the previews was where Darth Maul's fighting both Jedi and he's yawning. He's yawning because he's bored. Like, so it's goofy things like that. Or even when they show where Vader cuts off Luke's hand. Spoiler warning, guys.
Guys.
Vader cuts off Luke's hand, and then in the Star Wars Lego, like, Vader, like, looks all panicked and he pulls off his own robotic arm and shows Luke, like, teasing him with it. Like, it's goofy things like that.
Right.
That make the Lego series very funny.
Very fun.
Like, okay, you guys get it. You guys know that you're making fun of this in a playful way, and it's endearing in a way. To be like, I made that joke. It's one of the things that I made that joke with my friends, too. Oh, what if he would have showed him his arm or something? So.
It's kind of a throwback to something that I used to watch with my friends in high school, was the Thumb Wars. The Thumb War movies.
Oh, yes, I remember the
that's the type of humor I'm talking about. It's just like, ha, ha, ha.
Yeah, it's definitely poopy potty humor there. Okay.
So, that was our coverage of E3. Any thoughts, comments, concerns, last moments?
I am super excited about... I already got Cadence of Hyrule.
Right.
I bought that. That came out already. I don't know if the sale's still going to be around by time this episode airs, but Crypt of the Necrodancer, which is the first version that came out, is on sale right now for like $4 on the Nintendo store. So if you want a game on your Switch just to mess around with, it's worth $4. It is an acclaimed game. Obviously, I'm excited about Link's Awakening. I am going to be...
Which do you find you're more excited about? Breath of the Wild 2?
Breath of the Wild 2. Not even excited. Not even... No, Breath of the Wild 2 is not
Didn't even get to finish
Breath
it.
of the Wild 2 is not going to be out for a little while, though.
Okay.
Like, it is a E3 announcement for 2019. You'll probably get E3 2020, where you'll start seeing some of your first trailers and some of your first, like...
Playthroughs.
Maybe your first playable demos or something like that. But I don't see... I mean, if I want to be realistic, I probably won't expect Breath of the Wild until 2021.
Okay.
Early 2021, I'm willing to bet. If they're going to... Because you got to remember, they delayed Breath of the Wild 1 from the Wii U for like 2-3 years as well.
So do you see it still coming out on the Switch, or do you see it coming out on whatever consoles coming next?
Nintendo's staying with the Switch for a while.
Okay.
They have too much versatility with it and realize that it's a hot thing. Like,
it's still hot.
The Wii U was a hot mess.
Yeah.
They had a good idea with the Wii U.
Choo.
Well, the Wii U was the birth of the Switch.
Right.
Like they had the idea of we're going to have like a portable version of the Wii U, or of the Wii. They just couldn't get it right. Well, that's why they scrapped Breath of the Wild and put it on the back burner. And when the Switch came out, they're like, okay, cool, we're going to use Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild 2 only makes sense because they used a lot of Breath of the Wild 1. It's a direct sequel, so you're able to use the overworld. You're able to use all of this stuff that they spent 4 or 5 years developing and can reuse it.
Right.
And there's a part of me that's secretly hoping, since we just talked about Dark Souls, that Breath of the Wild 2 takes a bit of a Dark Souls turn to it. It goes back to like Majora's Mask of spooky and like creepy monsters,
right?
With more emphasis on different weapons, more emphasis on different styles of combat with those weapons, much like Dark Souls, with different upgrades, different abilities, different. Because all you're doing is building a direct sequel. It's not like this is a Link, like with the rest of the Legend of Zelda series, except a couple. Link to the Past and Link's Awakening is the same Link technically, but it's not. You're not going from like Skyward Sword and Wind Waker, which are very different links.
Yeah,
this is the same Link, probably within months after Calamity Ganon is defeated. So it's. I'm very hopeful to see if they take that everything they did with Breath of the Wild 1 and add some Dark Souls type elements of, persistence of when you die, you're reborn, but your stuff maybe gets lost, or you lose currency, or just make it not so much a harder game, but make it a game that has more to offer since you already have a base.
Right.
They're not building from scratch. They're not doing.
Their story's already built. Their world's already there.
The world's there. The story's there. The character models and concepts. It's using the same engine that they used. So a lot of those models, a lot of those concepts, everything's already there. All they have to do is build on top of it. That's what makes me so excited, is the fact that I already like Breath of the Wild, and if they get away from all the shrines, instead of having to find 162 shrines, but they make legitimate dungeons, a fire dungeon, an ice dungeon, go back to that trope, as we're talking about. It's classic, but it's a trope. Go to these specific dungeons again. That's probably the end of our podcast, because you're never going to pull me out of the house. Like, hey, we got to record. That's nice. Almost done. Dude, you got 140 hours logged into it. That's nice. Almost done. So, other than that, though, I mean, we'll see what happens. I may end up doing some research on the Xbox Scarlett.
Yeah.
To see what other games, if I want to continue to go down to the console route and not upgrade my PC again.
Right.
That's the other thing. PCs cost like $1,000 if you want to upgrade all the pieces. Xbox Scarlett's going to what? Run $300, $400, $500. I'd rather just drop the money and have a console rather than messing with PC stuff.
Fair.
I'm sure PC users are going to start cursing my name out, but hey. How about for you? Anything you're looking forward to? Any games that you want to play? Or
I am enjoying watching some of the independent developers come out with ideas. One that I was interested in seeing was the Reverse Monster one. I have it written down here. It was
Going to S, I thought. Oh, C. Nope, not Crossfire. A C or an S?
Carrion.
Carrion. Carrion.
It was Carrion
Yes.
or Carrion?
Carrion.
Okay, Carrion.
Like corpse, like monster, like carrion.
Reverse horror game that you play as the monster going through the
research lab. You are the monster.
And it was, again, the Metroverse or...
Metroidvania.
Metrovania.
Metroverse. The Geo Metroverse.
That one looked fun for me. Something like that. I really do like those types of games, and I will sit and gladly watch other people play these
not a player yourself.
Bigger world games like Elden Ring and all those kinds of games like Watchdog and stuff like that. I will sit and watch somebody play those. They just don't interest me to actually play them. I'd like to sit down and only invest maybe like an hour and a half to playing several levels and then be done. And I could be done for playing games for a while after playing some of that. So
we could extend the episode a little bit and go, then what is your take on like Let's Players? Like, I will say I'm a little biased because I don't have a PS4 yet. God of War was all in my interest. Like, I wanted to know everything about God of War, so I watched a Let's Player play through all of God of War.
Right.
I still don't own a PlayStation, but even watching that Let's Player, I went, I kind of want to get a PlayStation and play God of War. Now, luckily, PlayStation 5 has announced that they will be backwards compatible.
Right.
So maybe I get a PlayStation 5 if Microsoft Scarlett doesn't look promising, or if I could play those Scarlett games on my PC. I get a PlayStation 5, go back and get God of War, the re-release, and God of War 2, based on that Norse mythos, will be out soon, because if anybody's played God of War and seen the ending, there's going to be a
sequel,
part 2.
right.
A sequel, for sure. No spoilers, but, I don't think they'll be playing tricks on us for that one. And, so... I don't know.
It'll be fun to see what is coming out. I mean, E3 always does a good job of giving you expectations,
some teasers, and some
see how developers rise or fall to those expectations.
For sure. So we'll see what happens. It's obviously still early, and most of your stuff is going to come out in the next few months. That we're all really looking forward to seeing what may even creep up outside of E3. And until then, I am Dusty Red.
And I'm Dusty White. We are all geeks. To be otherwise may very well mean to live without passion.
Have a good night.
Night.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Grey Muzzle Geekery with Dusty Red and Dusty White.
You can support our continued geekery at our Patreon website, patreon.com/Grey Muzzle Geekery. Be sure to check back often as we start to add geek cred levels.
You can send your questions and comments to us at graymuzzlegeekery@gmail.com or find us on Twitter at graymuzzlegeek.
We can be found on iTunes, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and Buzzsprout.
And a special thank you to Pepper Coyote for our intro theme. And if you like what you heard, you can find more of his stuff on Spotify, Patreon, or directly from his Bandcamp page.